welcome to this edition of the Spartan Sports Report. After a big weekend of high school basketball for the Connersville Spartans, we got Athletic Director Brent Duncan with us once again. Always a pleasure, and thanks for coming in.
Well, happy to be here. Just waiting for the third person to get back here so we can get back to normal.
Well, we're hoping that that happens. That we certainly miss Fran and wish him well and hope that he gets healed up.
Well, let's hope it's quicker.
Yes, yeah, sooner than later. Brent, big weekend of basketball. We traveled the farthest that I ever remember traveling with the Spartans. You know, we've over the years we've made some long trips back when we go to Huntington and Columbia City. The girls would play up there in a tournament. And years ago when we go to Jeffersonville, but this by far our farthest road trip, but I think well worth it.
Well, it was a good weekend, you know, even though unfortunately we ended up on the short end by a point, but I'm not sure you get to travel 160 miles one way many times, I should say, and just no good way to get there with the roads around Martinsville all being torn up. So a little bit traveling, but great showing by our crowd and a lot of followers and great student body. And other than the Hatchet House not being packed, it was a pretty good atmosphere and 3 pretty good games.
Very good games, and Hatchet House, nice place to hold a tournament, even though it is a long way away.
Yeah, I mean it's comfortable. You know, everybody's got their own locker room. They're built right underneath the bleachers, so that makes it nice for everybody to be able to be in the gym, but in your own locker room without having to go too far away. And not as nice as the Spartan Bowl, but that's prejudice talking on my side. But great atmosphere, and I think if it was packed, it'd have been a lot better. And obviously, if it was a little bit closer, we would have had a lot more people there than what we were able to get there. You know, it's a tough haul. You either got to go down the night before, or get up really early and drive over. And then if you win, what do you do between games for 5 hours? And then it's going to be 10 o'clock before you get out of there. You know, most of us got home about 1 or 1:30 in the morning. And a lot of people don't want to make that drive that late at night after a long day of sitting and watching basketball, which is mentally draining because you're into the game and emotions are showing. And it wasn't like there were blowouts in either of the 3 games. So it all came down to the end.
Yeah, people that went got their money's worth. Of course, you had to pay for each session, but they did let people in. I thought maybe we wouldn't be able to get in prior to the first game, but they were very welcoming there at the Hatchet House. And I didn't realize that they were 7-time state champions. They're right up there with some of the guys in the North Central Conference.
Well, you know, they had the Zeller boys go through, so they won quite a few here in the last 3 or 4 years. So, well, I shouldn't say 3 or 4 years, last decade or better. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's a good basketball community typically.
Place seated almost 7,100 people normally. They had the bottom bleachers pushed back, but they love their basketball just like we do in Southwest Indiana, like we do here in Southeast Indiana.
Yeah, I think it's traditionally, you go back, you know, the Bushy kid was a Mr. Basketball, played at IU. You go back a ways, 40s, and I think there were some banners from the 40s hanging up in there.
I think 1930 maybe was the first one.
So, but a great gym, great atmosphere, but it'd been nice to see 7,000 people in there, and 5,000 of them being dressed in red would have been great.
It would have been, might have been that 6th man, but had a close game, first game in the afternoon there with Sullivan, and able to come from behind and pull that one out. A lot of us were getting a little concerned, but our defense and quick hands made the difference.
Well, you know, we got off to a rough start, and we trailed most of the whole game, and then just couldn't seem to get anything to go our way, and the one young man from Sullivan could not miss from outside the 3-point line, and some of them are deep. Missed a couple layups to start the second half, and compounded that with a foul, which got us down from 3 down to about 8 down in a hurry, and just kind of stayed stagnant for one. In fact, you know, late in the third quarter, we're down 12, 31-19, and then ended up having the lead at 46-40. I hit a buzzer shot towards the end to make it 46-43, or late in the game to make it 46-43. But coach turned the pressure up just a little bit, and picked them up a little bit full court, and kind of changed the pace of the game and the momentum of the game, and we were able to make some buckets and make some stops, and the rest is history, as they say. So wasn't easy by any stretch of the imagination. Wasn't
easy, but I have to think that the tough schedule that we play helped to prepare us for situations like that we've been in a lot of close games.
Yeah, I can't think of, you know, we got beat back-to-back nights or games 51-35, and You know, we started off kind of rough with Delta getting beat by 11. Other than that, I mean, many games separated by about 6 points or less for the rest of the season. You know, a few games sprinkled in here that we won, but on the losing side, we're in about every game. And I think that pays off with kids being in a situation where they're down and every possession counts and you got to play hard. And thank goodness we turned it on at the right time and made the buckets and the stops at the right time. There's a long time, sometimes the balls just don't bounce your way and things don't work out. And thankfully this time they did, so we were able to make the night trip. So
that night game held them to 4 points. They were a high-powered offense, I think averaging about 78 points a game, and able to hold them to 4 points in the first quarter, had the lead, tied at halftime, and hung right in there, and came down to the wire. I mean, we behind once again and come back and get within one. Had an opportunity right there in the closing seconds to win that one. Toby's shot was deflected as he was going in under the basket, and of course Cole throws up a prayer, a fall away, and just wasn't to be. But man, the effort was certainly there for our guys, and did everything we needed to do but win.
Well, I think if you look at our team and you look at them, they got 3 Division I players under. The little point guard's already committed to the school in Alabama, and of course the big kid's going to Purdue, and just a great individual when you talk to him, very polite and very cordial, and a lot of great comments about our team. And they probably had the better players, but I think we had the better team. And I think that's what sometimes our people don't understand. We don't always have that one great player, but when our guys all play together with Coach Brown and our philosophy and the game plans, we're going to be successful. But it's when those people want to splinter off onto the side and do their own little things. You notice we had those blips in the year where a few people, you know, maybe were thinking about themselves and not more about what the team needed. And you're going to have ups and downs through the season. You know, they're 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, and they're not always going to be in the right frame of mind when they get to practice or they get to the game, because you don't know what their life is like. You know, maybe they had a relationship issue during the day, or their dog got hit by the car, or somebody's sick at home. So you never know what kind of ups and downs they're going to be bringing to the game. So, but I think when our kids buy in and they listen, do what they're told, and accept the roles that they have on the team, because they all have a different role, and if you don't have those roles, then you're not nearly as successful. You know, they always talk about the 5 fingers closed, the fist's a little bit stronger, those 5 individuals one-on-one. So, but their coach at Silver Creek was complimented. I told him congratulations after the game, and he said, hey, and he said what I just said. He said, by far we have the best players, but we did not have the best team. But sometimes those players went out. But, you know, we had an opportunity at the end, and that's all you can ask for. And someone asked me last night or Saturday night about, you know, why didn't we try to shoot earlier? Well, they're a pretty darn good team.
Yeah.
You want to take the ball and maybe score, but
I
don't know that I want them to have the ball back. So
they've got the ball in the last possession.
So,
and
you know,
I would rather have the ball.
We have the ball, down 1, chance to win the game against the number 2 team in the state. You're going to take your shot to, you know, and just unfortunately we couldn't get the ball up on the rim and take an opportunity for it to fall in. So, but you think all the way back through the game, everybody looks at the end, and there's just so many things in the. You know, I think back to the first quarter, and we're up 7-4, and we have the ball, holding it for the last shot, and we end up in a jump ball situation. We get the ball at the jump ball, but we don't score, so we stay 7-4. But if we can score there, it's 7-4. If we wouldn't have had the jump ball situation, we would have got the ball back. Could have been up to 11-4 if we scored in both those possessions. We get a 3 at the end of the second quarter that goes in, but it's after the horn. So there's all kinds of little things throughout the game that we didn't do the things we needed to do, or things didn't go the way we needed them to at that time. And everybody remembers the last 20 seconds, but they forget the other 31 minutes and 40 seconds that took place to get us to where we were at. So there's all kinds of ups and downs for us and as well as them. You know, whether missed a foul here, they missed a foul, the officials missed a foul. You know, obviously they shot more free throws than we did. I don't know that's cost us the game longer. They definitely pounded the ball inside more than we did. We got bumped on shots, but we bumped them on shots. So,
and it's when we're outsized, it's makes it harder to keep from committing those fouls sometimes. I think that under the basket.
Well, you have to respect him down inside. He gets the ball deep in the post, and you're not going to stop him at 6'11" and probably 250 or 260, and pretty athletic. You notice at the end of the game, he's out there with the ball in his hand. He ain't standing on the block. You know, he's out there running to the point, trying to get to the basket. So you know he's got a good enough handles and skills to get the ball there. And obviously that's why he's a Division I recruit at 6'11". And I think people forget what those NBA players are. they look like our 5'10" guards, and they're 6'9" doing the same thing our 5'10" guards are doing. So there's a little different in skill level. But you know, when you throw the ball in the post, Gary does a great job at digging down, and guys collapsing and blocking up the paint. Then it's a matter of can you recover to the shooters when they skip the ball around, and you'll watch our guys fly on the floor. And sometimes, most of the times we get there, we don't always get there, but it's very difficult to penetrate against our team. So they do a good job of helping each other out, and that's what it takes. It takes all 5 guys on the floor and everybody sitting on bench, which there were 7 of them sitting on the bench this weekend, understanding their roles. And obviously, if you were there, you saw kids get in that hadn't played for a while. And some haven't played in a long while, but got in the middle of the regional game because of what they can offer us at the time we need it. And I think that's what people lose perspective of us. Are you better than the kid that's in front of you, and can you give us the things we need while we're on the floor when we need you at the position we need you at? So,
Talk about every possession counting. That was my last words when I walked out of the locker room before the game. After I'd talked to Coach Brown, Coach Miller was standing there talking, and I said, "This is one where every possession is going to count," and it certainly did.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously that's 10 points lower than they'd scored all year at any given time of the year. So 41 had been their previous low, and they got 31 and only 1 in the fourth quarter. So off a free throw, and I'm not sure that guy would hit that one again because he missed about every other one he shot. And the coaches knew that, so that's why he's going to the foul line if they're going to have to foul. But yeah, things just didn't go our way. Kids played hard. Fans are great. Our student body was great. Everybody there at Washington was cordial and helpful, and that's all you can ask for.
Their coach was, I read the Louisville paper and article that they had, their coach very complimentary, said best defense he's seen. So defense wins you ball games. We were one shot away. That's all you can say.
Well, as a math guy, I always tell kids when I coach that offense is a variable. It's going to come and it's going to go, but there's a constant in the defense, and it's just a matter of effort. And as their coach Hoffman said, you know, Gary's just a tough out. Does a great job. It's always going to be ready, and he's always going to be prepared. And it doesn't matter where you're at. It's going to be a tough out to knock you out. So, unfortunately, they had one more point and got us on the ropes and put us over the edge for the week. Hopefully, you know, it'd been nice to be headed to Seymour this weekend, but can't cry about spilt milk, and got to look forward to next year. And we got kids coming back. We're going to miss Jonah, and we're going to miss Cole, and you know, it's just like every year the drop of water comes out of the bucket, and you can't see them anymore. We move to the next person. So,
and with only losing 2 guys and a lot of guys back that got a lot of significant playing time, certainly the cupboard's not bare, and we should have a great season again next year.
Yeah, I think it's going back to what the kids want to do in the summertime. And, you know, you think about this year's varsity team. There's kids on this year's varsity team that didn't hardly play a minute last year and played significantly well. And some of that's just the year of growth and understanding and the mental maturity that it takes to be at that level. And when you're there around the practice and you watch practice, you see which kids are picking up things well. You know, as a fan, you don't always see what they do at practice. And sometimes that's where you're going to earn your trust and earn your spot. And because coaches are going to see a lot more practice than they are game stuff. So, when, you know, I've been in practices enough over the years, and I can pick out which ones are the ones who are really trying to tune in and focus on what they're supposed to be doing and picking things up quickly. And sometimes that's just a maturation process. So, hopefully, you know, there's a big growth year between the sophomore year and their junior year. So, hopefully a lot of those young kids that got some playing time in this year will take advantage of that and see that there's some good possibilities on the horizon and fight to get those spots. You know, it's hard to be complacent because you think you're going to get it. You know, the system doesn't work that way. It's those who work the hardest and those who pick it up and those who understand what their role is. And everybody's got a different one. Obviously, some can shoot quicker than other ones, and some's got to get the ball a couple times in their hand. And, you know, you go way back to the 90s, Zach Schillingford knew if he could screen and rebound, he could play a whole lot with Montrell, Spurlock, Newman, and Vance. But he knew he didn't have to score. He just knew he had to get them open and do the defense and rebound. So everybody's got a niche. So
that they do. And talked about summer, making themselves better in the summer, and hopefully this summer things won't be as closed down as they were, and we'll be able to get a lot more workout in and more games in, summertime games for these guys.
Well, that's helpful for every program. You know, it's hard because, you know, we've said it many times. You make the player in the summertime, and the winters where you get to showcase what you learned in the summertime. And, you know, it's so many kids will want to play travel in AAU, and that's great if the coaches understand what the purpose of AAU is. It's not just to run up and down the floor and play a game and go play 65 more games where you're not really teaching them anything, and then that kind of sets you back. And I think we got coaches in place that can teach them just as much as any AAU coaches that's out there in all of our programs. And so hopefully they'll listen and they'll come in and do the job and have a great summer. I know they'll get some time off here, and some are going to go to golf, and some are moving on to track and baseball. And, you know, and girls' side, you also throw in tennis and softball. So they'll be out there.
That's good for them. We got some film from Saturday down at Washington and against Sullivan in the afternoon game, and some pretty good play by the Spartans in that one. And as we talked about, come from behind to win it. Sullivan, a nice team, Brent. They really came to play.
Well, you know, they were 21-3 and solid. They had 3 kids at division double digits, and there's a kid going to Purdue. We did a good job. We found we didn't get in a hurry. Either in the morning game, we put a little pressure on and was able to come back and fight through. And you know, obviously, we talked about the night game just comes down to a piece of here or there or wherever. So
I liked, you know, we talked about the Kaufman kid that's going to Purdue. I looked down and he's at the end of the game after it was over. He's hugging Jonah, and there's at least a foot difference there in their size. But you mentioned, I didn't get to talk to him, but you mentioned he was a nice young man. So good sportsmanship, and I think he respected what we had there.
well, I think, you know, it's a battle while you're on the, you know, the 50-foot, 80-foot forecourt, and it's. But once it's over, it's over. And, you know, you can't. You can be upset and you can be mad, but you know they fought just as hard as we did to stay in there. Because if they would have let down at all, they were going to end up on the wrong side of the ledger. And I think their coach knew that there wasn't going to be any easy possessions, and it was going to be a dogfight. I think he knew it was going to be a low-scoring affair, and that every possession for him was going to count. I think I read that in some article on the web yesterday. And I think people understand when they play us, it's not going to be a 90-80 game.
No, and somebody on social media, of course, you have all these people that think they know everything on social media, excluding me, but said they'd like to have a more up-tempo game and score more points. Well, and I said I'd rather win 35-34 than lose 95-94. A win's a win.
Well, I made that comment in the morning. I didn't think we really played well. We played well when we needed to, and you know, so someone said it wasn't very pretty. I said, yeah, but winning ugly is a lot better than losing pretty. So you'll take those wins when you're ugly, and you know, when you're not playing well, as long as you're playing defense, you can hang in there. It's when you quit playing defense, you're on the short end of the stick.
Well, we got scores from the Washington Regional, Connorsville. Of course, we finished 18-8. We defeated Sullivan 46-43 in that first game, and then lost to Silver Creek 31-30. Also at the Hatchet House in Washington earlier in the day, Silver Creek downed Heritage Hills 52-48. Spartans ended up with the best defensive average in the state of Indiana at 37.62. And as I said earlier, the Silver Creek coach had told the Louisville paper that best defensive team in the states, and I believe our stats prove that. Semi-state pairings coming up this Saturday in 4A at Lafayette. Gary Westside, they come in at 22-4. They'll play Carmel, who's 24-2. Down at Seymour, it'll be Lawrence North, a team that we had seen earlier in the season. They are 27-2, and they'll go up against Bloomington South at 25-4. 3A action at Elkhart, South Bend St. Joe, 21-4. They play Leo, 23-4. And at Seymour, the game we could have been in, Garin Catholic, 21-3, will play Silver Creek. They are at 23-4. Here's the Class 2A pairings at Elkhart. Fort Wayne Blackhawk, 26-3, faces Blackford, 25-4. And Washington will host Park Heritage, 26-3. And they play Southridge, 17-10, one of 3 teams in the semi-state action with less than 20 wins. And finally, in 1A at Lafayette, Couts, 28-2, takes on Southwood, 17-10. And back down at Washington, Indianapolis-Tinley, they're 18-9. They meet Bar Reeve, 27-2. So there are your semi-state pairings. We had Brent this week, or today was announced, Winter EIAC All-Conference Athletes and Coach of the Year. So Paige Dunaway, All-Conference in girls basketball. Quentin Jones, All-Conference in diving. Evan Schaefer, our state qualifier in wrestling. He's All-Conference. Toby Billups and Jonah Graham, All-Conference in boys basketball. And Coach of the Year, Carrie Brown in the EIAC. So congratulations to all of them, and all very deserving.
Yeah, they all work hard at it. You know, they put their time in, and obviously, you know, you win the Coach of the Year if you win your conference. So if you win the conference, then Coach Brown was the Coach of the Year. But you know, for Evan, it's if you win your weight class, you're all conference. And of course, obviously, in swimming and diving, if you win your race or you win your diving event, you're all conference. But in basketball, your coaches have to nominate you, and then every other coach votes on you. So you got to be in the top 12. So a great honor for those kids that have either won their individual races or their matches, or are nominated and voted in by the coaches in the conference as a deserving member of the all-conference team. There's only 12 in basketball. Obviously, in swimming and diving, you got 12 girls and you got 12 boys plus the relays. And in wrestling, you got 14 classes. So difference of each class, and so you can have 14 wrestlers all conference plus the Coach of the Year. So good honor for those 5. And obviously, we would like to have more. And that's about commitment and effort and dedication to what you need to get done.
Well, they set a good example for others to strive for. In basketball, it shows that you know, we didn't have anybody that averaged in double figures, and so the coaches, when they picked that, the other conference coaches, they obviously saw the other qualities that our young men have.
Well, I think they respect what we do, and they respect how hard they play. And you think about the people we play around the state and who's on our schedule. We don't have one kid right now being recruited by a basketball coach at any level. You know, Jonah's going to go play golf at Kentucky Wesleyan, and Cole would like to play soccer somewhere. And right now, that's it for us in basketball. You know, and I don't know what Paige's plans is. She's got another year to go, and you know, Evan's going to go play football, and Quentin's going to Ball State. He may decide to dive, but he may decide just to want to be a student, and that's all right as well. But you know, you think we're down at Greensburg, and they've got coaches there looking at 2 of their kids, and they're on the sideline going home, and we're still headed to Washington next week. So doesn't mean you can't have those, but it doesn't take those to get to where you want to be successful at either.
Absolutely. And we've had several players go on, basketball players go on, and both boys and girls play at the collegiate level.
Sure.
But, and whatever works, you know, that's...
But it's a team game, so it takes all 5, you know. You know, take wrestling. It's nice to win this state as a team because you got to have a bunch of individuals that can do that because it's about you. Track's the same way. It's a team sport, but it's an individual team sport. So those kids have to work hard on their own, you know, to help everybody and themselves to get to that success where, you know, you can't do basketball, football, baseball, softball, volleyball on your own.
No.
It takes a few others to get out there with you and get that to happen. So just goes to show that, yeah, it's great to have guys like Grant, who was here, and Garrett, and you know, Jonah, and some of those, or Noah, and some of those others went on to try to play little places, and Charles at IU East, and it's nice to have those. But
Chandler went down and became a manager and was on the practice team.
Yeah, he's only the second guy in my life I've ever known who's been a manager at IU, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
You got to be fairly decent. You got to have it because they got to go out and do some drills at times. So
Sure do. Speaking of IU. Archie Miller terminated today, and
you know, it's like owning a boat. There's a good day and there's a bad day. It's a good day when they're hired, and you know there's a bad day when they're fired. It's buying and selling a boat is what they tell me. I don't want a boat, but
that's what I've having owned one. That's true. But anyway, we'll have someone new at the helm down there, and I would have to think that well, he knew this was coming. And I'd have to think that A.D. Dolson maybe has someone in mind. I would think you would want somebody in mind before you terminated somebody.
Well, I think most of those programs are already looking around as the season was progressing, deciding what they want to do and who they might want to try to target. So,
yeah. Well, let's move on and talk a little bit about spring sports, and we may talk about that in another broadcast. By the way, this will be... we'll take next week off. It's spring break week, and then we'll come back the following week and talk about more high school basketball and state tournament and what has transpired. So in the coming week, it will be a week off because the NCAA tournament between semi-state and state finals, and state finals been pushed out to the first Saturday in April. But I think that's not too bad of a thing, Brent, considering that the NCAA tournament's all being played in central Indiana.
Just be a little different, be a little rusty. I don't know, I hope it's not anticlimactic, but you know, sometimes when teams take 10 days off before they play, it gets a little scary. So hopefully they can muster that, but you got time to heal as well. So
That's right. That's right.
just don't want to get. Just unfortunately, we're still having some COVID people get out. You know, we watched that in the NCAAs, people not making the tournaments. And
Duke.
hopefully you don't get that happen to you in that 2 weeks when you're off, the week after when you could already been playing.
Right.
So
They're going to have to be disciplined to.
well, get home, stay home, do what you're supposed to do. So, but yeah, spring sports. Last 3 sports start today. Well, supposed to. Michael will have the baseball team in the field house tonight, and Jeff Martin will get the golf team going to their classroom to go over the new rules, which really some of them took place last year, but we didn't get a chance to go over them because we didn't have it.
New rules.
Well, you can leave the flag in the hole now, and you can drop it from a different level. So it's got to go through all the new rules of golf. And then girls tennis, Coach Bloom's got them indoors tonight. They're starting today, so that's the rest of our spring sports are geared up. Softball started last week, and track started way back in February.
Okay, put you on the spot here. Tell me the coaches in each of those sports.
Well, track actually has their first meet on Wednesday at New Pal, but you got to buy tickets online. But that's Jeff Cooley's the boys and Kelly House is the girls. Chris Bloom is the tennis coach for the girls. Jeff Martin does our boys golf team. Michael Thompson's the boys baseball coach, and Steve Rubel's going to get to try to coach his first softball game after he sat out for a year. So
Yeah, we had him in here last year, and we were looking forward to softball. So wish them all well because none of them got to play last year.
No, it's good for our kids, you know, and it'll be exciting to have them out there in spring. And, you know, people ask me what we're going to be like, and I said, I really don't know because I haven't seen them because some of them are going to be young, and some of them, if you think back before they played, were 8th graders before they've ever played softball again. So we'll see how things go. I walked
But we're
into
not alone in that.
Oh,
Same
no, it's
thing all over the
everybody.
state,
We
so.
walked into baseball practice earlier, and I'm like, I didn't recognize some of the kids because I had not really ever seen them because they hadn't played last year. So, and they didn't do any other sports. It's like, okay, I didn't know that kid. I hadn't recognized him yet. So, a little different, but we'll see. You never know. It's been a year and a half, 2 years basically since we've been able to throw a baseball out.
So golf will be back out at
Back out of Willowbrook.
Willowbrook.
Starting, well, supposed to start today.
Yeah.
They have to get the boats out today.
A
So
little ice out there on the green.
hopefully by Wednesday, you know, it's supposed to be nice on Wednesday. Hopefully it'll be dried up enough and they'll be all out, get some practice in. Of course, they can hit in the nets inside in the field house as long as they get the rugs down on the floor. The nets in the batting cage are small enough to let them bang balls into. So we get in a pinch come to shove and we need some more space. We'll try to work it out and get them in the gym.
Field house getting a lot of use.
Yeah, it's getting harder to schedule now that the rain is not cooperating. So, you know, it's hard, and I use track as my example. They're not always happy, but I always kind of schedule them at the end because if I hate to put them in a 4 o'clock slot because if they go outside, then that 4 o'clock slot's sitting empty, and not everybody's expecting to go and practice at 4 if they're waiting on the 7:30 slot and don't always have a ride or whatever. So, but typically it's just freezing cold or really wet. They're going to go outside.
So track had a couple indoor meets by now, or?
Well, they typically, but nobody had any this year, so we added a meet with New Pal. It's supposed to be Thursday, but it's supposed to be terrible outside, so Al called me today and said, hey, when we move it to Wednesday, it's supposed to be beautiful out. So we moved it up to Wednesday, and then softball actually traveled into Jennings County this Saturday for a scrimmage, so that's our first 2 events getting ready to happen. And then next week, everybody else will start gearing up.
So it's kind of hard not knowing what to expect from the other schools either. You know, I'd normally say, well, what's the conference look like? But we don't know.
It's wide open in the spring. You know, nobody's going to know what's going to happen. So a little different feeling.
Well, Brent, appreciate you once again coming in and all winter long here, all fall, all winter, and helping to make this show what it is. And we will see you in not next week, but the week after, and hope everybody has a good spring break. This has been Spartan Sports Report. Good night, everybody.